And I do believe this is the beginning of part 60. We've got a good significant event for that milestone number, so that's appropriate. We're finally confronting Zant, instead of him kind of showing up out of nowhere and beating us up. With our blade that sparkles. You know, we're in the Twilight, the blade is sparkling. Now all we need is a pony, and this will be Friendship is Magic. But Epona didn't decide to come through the portal with us, so I guess that'll be another day. You speak of magic? Well, I just was, specifically in the form of friendship, but you know what? Never mind. I think you used the word whelp. I like the word whelp. It's a good insult. And now Zant's not particularly terrifying face is revealed. He had this terrifying mouth, and now he has this face. And this is where his character kind of deconstructs. Is that what the word you would use? I don't know. This is when people start not liking him as much. Like, oh, he had this potential to be such a great villain, and then he became this monkey. But after thinking about it, I think I like him better as this character who is scary for most of the game, and then he becomes this madman all of a sudden. Just look at him. He's fun to watch. But would they acknowledge me as their king? No, and as such, I was denied my powers, the penis. I turned my eyes to the heavens and found a god. That's how I picture him saying that. He makes that oh noise. I feel like he's probably saying, and I found a god. So he goes out into the beautiful wilderness after just being fired, I guess. I called him a monkey, and this scene is why I think he's a monkey. Such hilarious motions that don't even seem human. They just seem too monkey-like to be human. Well, not that he's human, he's a Twilight, but you know what I mean. It doesn't look like the motion that a human person would have. So this is his flashback, in which he gets engulfed by a meteorite. Yeah, I don't know why he's still standing here if that happened, but, you know, whatever. I shall house my power in you. If there is anything you desire, then I shall desire it too. That would be the freakiest thing to hear. Like, just imagine going out and meeting this god who just shows up and says, anything that you want, then I want it too. Except he uses the word desire, which makes it even creepier. Like, hey, that one kid that you hate who's really annoying and bullied you once, yeah, if you want him dead, then I'll kill him. Why not? That would be a freaky amount of power, I think. It would not be very responsible. To merge shadow and light and make darkness. I don't think that's how that works, Zant. If you merge shadow and light, you get gray. You don't get darkness. I think that's just the shadow part. That's a little bit stupid. This game might have been where I learned the word usurper, which I think sounds like syrup, and that's why it's a good word. But you know what word sounds more like syrup that isn't syrup? Surreptitious. Surreptitious is an even better word. And it also has a better connotation, so. And serendipity. Serendipity. Haven't talked about the boss fight yet. But this is the Zant fight. He takes you through all these different worlds that are places that you've already been. And I didn't know how to fight this guy at first. I was completely out of the loop. But after looking it up pathetically in a walkthrough, because I just didn't put any time into trying to figure it out myself, yeah, you just have to use the items that were pertinent at the time of whatever area that you're in to fight Zant. So I think this is a much cooler and also much more graceful way of revisiting all of the past areas in the game than has been done in other Zelda games. Like, well, Ocarina of Time with the Ganon's tower being... Having the split sections be like all of the adult dungeons, that's cool and all, but it also doesn't feel very natural. Like, why are all of these areas based around places that you've been? It doesn't really make sense. Ganon just designed his castle around other temples. Yeah, sure, I believe that. And then in Wind Waker, there's the obnoxious... Like, it's... Well, maybe not that obnoxious, but it has a similar system, except you also have to fight all of the bosses again. Which, granted, is easier for the most part, but it's still kind of redundant. But in this case, you're fighting a different boss, but still revisiting all the areas in a different way, and it actually kind of makes sense, because you're fighting this crazy guy, and it's not like he just designed his whole dungeon around the places that you've been. I just think it's cool. It's a cool fight. And I wouldn't mind if they did more stuff like this in other Zelda games. And I don't think that this would work nearly as well if Zant wasn't the crazy character that he reveals himself to be at this point in the game. I was going to say part, and I was going to say point, and then it became very Rule 34-esque with a slip of the tongue. Of course, you could turn something into Rule 34 with other kinds of slips of the tongue, if you know what I mean. Which I hope you don't. Actually, I don't even know what I mean, so I'm gonna shut up now. The music in this phase is the best. It's already good in the Faron Woods, not Faron Woods, the Forest Temple rendition, but combined with the craziness of the Zant theme, I don't know if there's a Zant theme, but it just is so hectic here. I think it's great. I was going to say one more thing about the Zant's character. Yeah, people, I think, were really hoping for Zant to be menacing throughout the whole game. But I like that he's crazy because it makes him less generic. It's... You always get the villain in a Zelda game, or in any game, that's just, I'm evil, I do evil stuff, I like darkness, yada yada yada. And they're very stern about it. But Zant, he reveals himself to be... Like, what even is he? He's so unpredictable at this point. And that, I think, almost makes him more believable. Like, underneath all of that darkness and seemingly overconfidence, he's like... He's just a freak. That explains everything. That explains everything. So yeah, I'm okay with Zant suddenly being like this, and I guess it also doesn't hurt that he suddenly becomes, in a way, less menacing, because, you know, you could say that that provides better contrast for Ganon later, because he's the main villain, he's supposed to be the more menacing one. So in a way you could call that weak storytelling, like, oh come on, you had this perfectly good villain, and then you just ruin him for another villain. But, like I said, I like it. This is the trippiest fight. With the trippiest music, too. Whenever I think about how hard this game might be with a 3-heart challenge, normally I don't think it would be that difficult, but this fight I think would kind of get nuts. I don't know what it's like if you die during this fight. I would imagine... Well, if you have to start back from the beginning, then it would definitely be difficult to beat it. Well, maybe not that difficult, it might just be more tedious. This is the only phase where it really seems like it would be a problem. Yeah, if I were to do a 3-heart challenge with this game, this is the fight I think that would kind of ruin me. Because it almost seems like this fight is designed to hurt you randomly, like that. I don't know how I was supposed to see that coming. Good noises. So anytime you're ready, with your double swords and your... Why can't I have that spin attack? I guess Wind Waker Link has a very similar spin attack that you get from all those Knight's Crests. But you have to charge that one up. Zant doesn't have to charge it up. He does get tired afterwards, though, so... We've got all the fuse shadows. Zant is defeated. And now Midna is not back to normal. I mean, normal to us, but not to her. You traitors! Why does she add an S at the end of that? It seems like it's just Zant here. Traitors, huh? Well, now I'm confused. Was it Zant who said that, or her? A lust for power burning in those pupils. Yeah, you could tell just by his pupils. Just like you can tell in real life if a person is a terrorist or not just by looking at their eyes. Except, sometimes they just look like random teenagers. As long as my master Ganon survives, he will resurrect me. Just look at this tongue. What an eerie tongue. It's a good tongue. But it's not a tongue anymore. Yeah, just pop, just burst. I am going to burst you is still one of my favorite, threatening phrases. Which doesn't sound threatening at all, because the word burst is so stupid. But in this case, that's what she did. She bursted him. She bursted him good. We've had enough Rule 34 jokes. Don't think about that. The cherished Bowser. What am I saying? Why did I say power and think Bowser? I like Midna's expression here. It's a good expression. It's got that epic feel of the pose that Link made in that boat riding minigame when he was clearing out the river. Because I made such a big deal about that. Yep, there's that one missing heart container that I have to go back to the Goron Mines to get. But, oh well. I mean, I just... Yeah, well, maybe we can consider it a challenge to have beaten the whole game without that extra heart container, except it really wasn't. There wasn't any added challenge at all. I remember my first time playing the game, I missed... Like, speaking of missed heart containers, I missed the one that's on the throne. I just went straight into the teleporter and didn't realize, oh shoot, I left a heart container on Zant's throne. I need to go back and get that, because it's so far away from where you are. I just didn't really think about it, and... Wouldn't you know it, you have to go through this whole dungeon with all of those moving platforms and everything just to get back to that point. I will say, even though I like the Twilight Palace as a dungeon overall, it does have an annoying design decision of the last areas being so slow and so tedious, because you have to... It takes such a long time to get through them, and if you forget the boss key, which is very easy to do, then you have to go through all of that again just to open the boss door. Now I show this off because how could you not? This is the Kakariko Village Mallow Mart, which you can no longer buy anything from because despite Mallow being right there behind the counter, you can't talk to him. I think this is a little bit stupid, but yeah. And while we're fixing up loose ends, here's something else that I forgot about. Here in Zora's Domain, you know that big meteor from Death Mountain that we had to transport here to save all the Zoras from being frozen? Even though, usually with ice, only the surface is frozen, and not the rest of it. I'm kind of surprised that I forgot about this, actually. But, use a water bomb, go kerplooey, and there's just a Goron here. A Goron who is never ever going to leave this space because there's no way for him to get out. Maybe if all the Zoras tried to lift him out, then he could get out, but he seems pretty content here. This is all I have on me. A bag with bombs. How convenient. Just decided, you know, I might as well max out my bombs for the second run of the Cave of Ordeals. And, I might as well also max them out here. I think you get more bombs here. Of course, even if you didn't, this is something I should show off anyways. I never went back here to check on the other game that Isa has to offer. Now, generally what you do with this game is use bomb arrows to break open a lot of pots. This is the practice pot, except you're not supposed to break it. She says, "What? You're gonna pay for it?" But come on, it was the display pot. I had to break it just to prove, like, what else is it there for besides practicing bomb arrow shots? I don't know. Now, I had to play this minigame twice. I'm only showing the second run of it. And it's a little bit harder than it seems like it should be, because it has the Super Mario Sunshine lily pad course with the poison water. It has the problem with that one where you never quite know where the water is going to go. So it's very easy to bump into walls, and bumping into walls causes you to lose part of your score. Yeah, it's just a difficult boat to control. Although, making another comparison to Super Mario Sunshine, I think it's at least... Well, I don't know if it's easier or harder to control than the boats in Sunshine, because I don't think the boats in Sunshine are that bad. And the consequences for bumping into a wall with those is the boat crashing and disappearing, but... I don't know. I feel like in some ways this is worse, because at least there's a method to the Super Mario Sunshine madness, and once you figure it out, you can take it nice and slow. This one, you have to really be on your feet, except you can't be on your feet on a boat. At least not if it's moving down a river like this. I mean, I don't know if it's really easy to stand on a boat of this size, even if it's pretty much stationary. Because it's kind of difficult to balance like that. Just breaking all the pots. This is a dream come true for Link. He breaks pots all the time anyways, but now now he gets to do it for a prize. Like, more than just the prize of finding rupees and after breaking other people's property. No, this is just, hey, we want you to break these pots. This is what we want you to do. This is your calling now. Gosh, I love these little waterfall effects. They're maybe not the most futuristic, they kind of look hexagonal, but I still think they're really pretty. Yeah, it was right around here in my first run of this, where the boat got turned completely backwards, and there was nothing I could do about it to bring it forwards again. So pretty much what I had to do was just kind of... I mean, you can turn yourself around completely in the boat to shoot targets, but I had to shoot a lot of them that were behind me because it was easier to do that, and I got a score of 24 when you need 25. So I was a little bit disappointed by that, but hey, it worked out the second time. Some of these walls I just barely miss. I don't know what a perfect run of this would do. You probably can get like 30. I would imagine 30 is the magic number. Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to avoid that. I don't know. I don't know. It just goes too fast. Goes too fast. I've gone canoeing. Maybe not canoeing, maybe kayaking. I don't know the difference. I mean, I know that there is a difference, and I know what the difference is. I just don't know which one is which. But I've done that once. I, for sure, am never going to do it again, because I really didn't like that experience. But I'm sure that plenty of other people enjoy that sort of thing. It's just, I remember... Why is remember such a hard word to enunciate? I distinctly remember thinking to myself as that was going on, as I was kayaking or canoeing or whichever one it was, like, I'm going to remember this for later. I have to remember distinctly what I am feeling right now so that I never do this again. I don't want this to be some kind of memory where I remember something better than it actually was. Because that happens a lot. You know, you have a horrible experience with something, but then you say, you know, maybe that wasn't that bad. And you go back to it and it's even worse. And finally, after all these many months, the heart container is acquired. All the hearts are full, it looks really nice and pretty. And this ends the last episode of post-commentary for this LP. The next episode is actually going to be the start of a live stream that I did of the Cave of Ordeals, which was a lot of fun. I could have made more mention of it, but I didn't think about it. It was a really spontaneous thing. But I'll see you then.